Hello everyone and welcome to another Super Science video of the Massillon Regional Library. I'm Miss Stephanie, one of the children's librarians here, and this month we're going to be doing experiments on ice. And there's a lot of cool things you can do with ice. It's more than just cooling your drink down. And for our first experiment, we're going to do some ice fishing. And for that experiment, you'll need the following things. You'll need some water, yarn or twine. I'm going to use both in the experiment. A cup, which can hold a few ice cubes in it, some food coloring, scissors to cut the yarn and twine, salt, I'm using kosher salt, but table salt does work too, and then there's about 12 ice cubes in here, but you just probably need about maybe 3 or 4. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, for our ice fishing, first thing you need to do is fill a cup up with water, and don't fill it up to the top, because when we put ice in it, if you fill it to the top, the weight of the ice will make the water come out of the tin, of the cup, onto the tin. But we're going to try to just keep it in there for now. So the first thing we're going to do, you don't have to do this, but just so you can see a little better, I'm going to put a few drops, it'll come out, there we go, of blue food coloring in here, just so you can see the ice a little better. And we'll let that dissolve for a minute. I'm actually going to stir it up a bit. There we go. And then what I will do next is I am going to put some ice in here. So we'll put 1. And let's see, don't want to make it go too close, so we'll do 2. And I think I can fit a 3rd one in here, so 3. And then what you're going to do next is you're going to take your yarn or twine. I'm going to use yarn. You're going to place it on top of your ice cubes like this. And then you're going to just take the salt. You can use any container, so just sprinkle a bunch of salt on top of your ice. I'm going to do a lot. And so we're just going to leave it on there for about a minute. And while it's on there, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the science part of this experiment. And what does it do is, like, you may see people use salt to melt ice, but that's because adding salt to the ice will lower the ice's melting point. And salt, it causes this physical change, and it changes the temperature of the ice cube. And if the surrounding temperature is still freezing, the ice will freeze, and it will freeze the string along with it. And we will be able in a few minutes, so I'm just going to wait a little bit longer. And then I'm going to lift this up and see if I can get any of my ice cubes to go with it. So, thank you for waiting. Okay, so I think about a minute has passed. So I'm going to take my yarn. Oh, I got all 3 to stick to my yarn. That is really cool. So you can try this experiment with a bigger bowl and more ice cubes, and you can just see how many ice cubes you can pick up with salt on a string. Alright, let's do this experiment with the twine as well. As you can see, I cut some twine, and when I place it over the ice, it's not picking it up. So we're going to have to do the same thing we did with the yarn and sprinkle some salt on it. And I'm not 100% sure if this is going to work. So we'll find out. So we're going to wait about a minute. And I'll just cut to a minute for you guys. Alright, so let's see if you put twine on the ice and then salt, if it'll pick it up too, like the yarn. No, it does not. That's very interesting. I guess it also, not quite sure why, but this is something that I can show you. Sometimes science doesn't work in the ways we expect it to, because it worked with the yarn but not the twine. It's probably because of the material that the twine is made of. So just letting you know what happens when you try to go ice fishing with both yarn and twine. Alright, for our next experiment today, we're going to make some fizzy ice cubes, and you're going to need a few things for that. And first you'll need some water, some white construction paper, a pie tin, an eyedropper, a 1-cup measuring cup, either washable paint or food coloring, although I'm going to use both in this video, a plastic spoon, an old ice tray, some vinegar, white vinegar, baking soda, and a large bowl. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so the first step to make our fizzy ice cubes is to get the bowl out, and then what we're going to do first is we're going to put 2 cups of water in this bowl. 1. I've already measured them out. 2. Then we're going to put the baking soda in. So 1 cup of baking soda. And then you want to stir it for a little bit to make sure it's dissolved. If you have some slightly warmer water, that works to help dissolve the baking soda better than colder water. It'll still dissolve, but it'll just take longer. And I have some warm water in here. And as you can see, my water is turning white, which means that the baking soda is almost dissolved. So let's just stir it a few more times. Alright, that's good. And then we're going to put this aside and get our ice tray out. And then get an old ice tray, because you do not want to drink any ice cubes after this. So this is an old ice tray. This is like for science. It's not to drink out of. So that's very important to know, because I don't want anyone to have a stomachache or anything. Now what we're going to do next is we are going to pour the baking soda water mixture into the ice tray. So we'll just put it, and I like to get a smaller cup in there just to make sure that it's not going to spill everywhere. So make sure you fill all of them up to the top. And it's interesting that you can freeze other things besides ice. Alright. Okay, so there we go. I filled all the ice trays up with the baking soda water mixture. Now, to make it, you can stop here, but to make it more fun, we're going to put some color in here. So first, we're going to put some food coloring. So I'll put some yellow. Then I'm going to put some blue. And then this food coloring. And now we're going to use washable paints to see what happens when we do that as well. So another thing about science is trying different things and see what you get. So this is, make sure this is washable paint. And then I'm going to put some green. All right, there we go. And I'm just going to stir it around a little bit just to make sure everything is good. Alright, and the paint will take a little while to dissolve, so you may want to wait a few minutes before putting it in the freezer. Alright, so this is full, so be careful. So let's go ahead and stick this in the freezer. Okay, I've just taken our ice cubes out of the freezer, and let me get them out and put them in a pie tin. Be a little careful. There we go. Looks like the ones with the food coloring, they are more of a brighter color than the paint. Let me get those paint ones out. There we go. So the next step, what we're going to do is we're going to see a chemical reaction, which is a change in a substance that creates something new. And it can't go back to its original form once you do this. And there are some things that you can look for to see if it's a chemical reaction. If there's fizzing or bubbling, and if there's a sense of smell. Now, we can't smell it in a video, but I think we can cause it to fizz. So, get your eyedropper. I have this filled with vinegar, and I'm going to drizzle it. I'll have to get some more. Or this might work a little better. I have my measuring cup I used. I put some vinegar in it. And I'll gently spread it over the ice cubes. Oh, you can hear the fizzing. Yes, here we go. Yeah, so that did the trick. And as you can see, there's a lot of fizzing and there's bubbles. And that's a sign that a chemical reaction has taken place. And what's really fun with these is if you do colors, I mean, they're fun to feel and to, you know, kind of see that it's cold. But did you know that, let's see if we can create something else out of them. let's see if we can create some artwork. So I'm going to take my blue one, since that seems to be the darkest one. And I've got a piece of paper here. And let's see if I can draw on it. Oh, it looks like I can. Excellent. And it's just fun. You can create different things, do some different artwork. So science and artwork together. And you have different colors to choose from. So let's see if we can get anything off the yellow real quick. Yes, we can get something as well. And we can see that the yellow and the blue together make green. So let me bring these back. But yes, here is your fizzy ice cubes. Alright, I hope you really enjoyed doing those ice experiments with me today. And also, I just have a few books to share with you that are related to ice. And the first is an entry in the I Survived series about the sinking of the Titanic in 1912. And it sunk because it hit a really big piece of ice called an iceberg. And it's a really great story about I think he's about 8 or 9, and his sister, and they're on the Titanic and they have to escape the ship. And so it's really interesting about how they do that. And then for a more sciencey book, this is called The Simple Science of Water, because ice is the solid form of water, and water can be a solid, liquid, or gas. And it's just really good reference, really good information about the water cycle, how ice forms, how it turns into gas, and it has some really great pictures in it as well. And the final book that I have is actually a new one that we just got at the library. It's called The Call of Antarctica, and it's about a continent that's completely made of ice. And this book is really interesting, and there's a lot of great information in here, really fun. I think my favorite chapter was about there is wildlife that lives on Antarctica, and of course there's penguins. But I really liked learning about, I think that my favorite was the elephant seal, which looks really strange, but it's a really interesting animal to learn about. And I like it how there's like little sections, so you can read this book a little out of order or just skim through and just see what you're interested in. But Antarctica is really a fascinating continent, and this is a fascinating book to talk about it. So thank you again for joining me for another science video. I look forward to sharing more experiments with you soon. Have a good day. Bye.